Welcome. And let me tell you something. Here in Capitol Hill, if you walk the hallways, you're going to find a whole lot of well-paid lobbyists who get 6 or 7 figures to represent millionaires and billionaires, and it is delightful, it is wonderful to welcome here to Capitol Hill real Americans who are going to stand up for tens of millions of people in the middle class and working class of this country. So thank you very much for being here. Let me begin by thanking the Strengthen Social Security campaign, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, the Alliance for Retired Americans, MoveOn.org, all right, the SCIU, the AFL-CIO, and all of the other groups, many other groups, that have put together this summit, and we're going to see meetings like this all over America. In fact, we're going to make some of our colleagues here an offer they can't refuse. We have got a great meeting here this afternoon. Schedules for senators and House members fluctuate, but we hope to have a number of senators. I see one already here, and others I'm sure will be here. And we're going to have some of the leading members of the House of Representatives here as well. Let me begin by saying that we are here today on a very serious piece of business, and that is we're going to send a loud message to the leadership in the House, in the Senate, and President Obama. Do not cut Social Security, do not cut Medicare, do not cut Medicaid, do not cut deficit reduction is a serious issue, but it must be done in a way that is fair. We must not balance the budget on the backs of the elderly, the sick, the children, or the poor. Now, in terms of Social Security, let me just start off with Social Security. And let me make one point as clear as I can. Social Security has nothing to do with deficit reduction. Because Social Security has not contributed a nickel to the deficit, because as we all know, and the American people know, it is independently funded by the payroll tax. Furthermore, despite what you may see on TV, Social Security today has a $2.7 trillion surplus and can pay out 100% of benefits for the next 21 years. So our job is to make Social Security strong for 75 years without cutting benefits. There are ways to do that by, among other ways, lifting the cap on taxable income. And on the issue of Social Security and the deficit, I am very delighted to tell you that Majority Leader Harry Reid the other day made it very clear. Don't mess with Social Security, says Reid. It has nothing to do with the deficit. Furthermore, and this is quite interesting, I do not often quote Ronald Reagan. That's true. But this is what Ronald Reagan said on October 7th, 1984. Ronald Reagan, quote, "Social Security has nothing to do with the deficit. Social Security is totally funded by the payroll tax levied on employer and employee. If you reduce the ACO of Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce the deficit." End of quote. Ronald Reagan, which goes to show you that anybody could be right at least once in their lifetime. Furthermore, and this is an important point to note, especially if you spend a lot of time here on Capitol Hill, we're surrounded by big money interests and lobbyists and all these other guys. The point of view that we have, that Social Security must be protected, that we do deficit reduction in the way that it's there, is overwhelmingly supported by the American people. I'll give you one example. There was a poll just came out yesterday by Peter Hart Research Associates and organized by the AFL-CIO. And it showed, this poll published yesterday, that by a 64 to 17%, voters want to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and address the deficit by increasing taxes on the wealthy rather than cutting entitlements. 64 to 17. And here's the bottom line. The bottom line is, as all of you know, this deficit was caused by two wars that were unpaid for, caused by tax breaks to billionaires, caused by a Medicare Part D program written by the insurance companies, and by the lack of revenue coming into the federal government because of this Wall Street-caused recession. And I will be damned if at a time when we have the most unequal distribution of wealth and income of any major country on earth, when you have the top 1% owning 42% of the wealth, bottom 60% owning 2.3% of the wealth, you do not balance the budget on the backs of the bottom 60%. So we are going to demand, and that's what this election is about. You know what? Every now and then elections have consequences. We won. And we expect that Congress will follow what the American people made very clear, and that we are not going to continue huge tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. We're going to end corporate loopholes. 1/4 of profitable corporations don't pay a nickel in taxes. We're losing $100 billion a year by the rich and large corporations stashing their money on the Cayman Islands. And we can take a look at defense spending and other places. But what the American people are saying is, wait a minute. We are in the middle of a horrible recession. A lot of people out there are hurting. We're not going to throw children off of Medicaid. We're not going to tell disabled veterans that we're cutting their benefits. We are going to ask for justice, and justice is that those people who have done phenomenally well in recent years, top 2%, are going to start paying their fair share of taxes.